So today I'm going to be working with this wood burning gel. Now, I've used it a little bit before with pretty bad results. But the reason I got bad results was because I used just a regular stencil that doesn't have an adhesive backing. And so the wood burning gel kind of went up underneath the edges of the stencil and kind of ruined the picture. However, it does work. All you do is you brush this on to the wood surface. You brush it on in the pattern that you want to wood burn. And then you let it dry for 2 minutes. Then hit it with a heat gun. I think a blow dryer might work. I don't know if a blow dryer gets hot enough, but I use a heat gun. And then it burns the image into the wood that you want. Now, to try and get the best results I can, I actually cut my own stencil out of this sticky backed vinyl paper. It's the kind of stuff that you would use in a Cricut machine. I don't have a Cricut machine because they're a little too expensive for me right now. So I just cut this out on my own. I just traced this little resin alien head and the eyes, cut it out, and slapped it on this piece of wood. So I'm going to see if this method works better. It should. We'll see. So I'm going to open this up. And with this stuff, a very little bit goes a long way. You want just the thinnest layer on the wood. So you want it to where it looks glossy. You can see it's glossy. You don't want any clumps because it'll burn it too much and you'll have dark spots. So you don't want any clumps. You just want a nice smooth glossy look on your pattern. Then let that dry for 2 minutes and then hit it with the heat gun. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this little dabber thing too. Again, because using a paintbrush tended to make things worse for me in the past. This is the first time using an actual adhesive type stencil, so hopefully I'll have better results here. So I'm just going to dab some of that on there. Nice and smooth. And this stuff, this jar would last you probably a lifetime, unless you just do a lot of wood burning. So just going to dab this on here, smooth it over there. Now you want to get every bit of wood that you're trying to burn. You want to get real good coverage, but it is key to do a nice, as thin of a layer as you can. Because again, if you use too much, it will it'll burn the wood too much and you'll have little darker spots. And actually, it does this little thing if you use too much on there. When you put the heat gun on it, the wood will kind of bubble up. If you use too much, if you got too many clumps in there. So I'm just going to get some good coverage here. Best I can. It comes with this little scraper. So I'm just going to scrape off the excess there. Scrape off the excess. I just want to make sure I don't have too much on here. I'm actually going to hit it with this dauber too, maybe around the edges. This dry one. Just kind of get a nice smooth uniform layer on there. You may want to go back over that a little bit. In the past I have had trouble really getting a good smooth layer on here. You want it nice and thin and smooth. I've got some spillage here. Hopefully, if I just avoid this spot with the heat gun, it should be fine. But hopefully I won't get any burning there. This is really just a test piece. I'm not making this for anything. just going to be a generic test piece. So I'm going to go ahead and let that dry up for a good 2 minutes or so. Then we'll hit it with the heat gun. Actually, I'll pull the stencil off and then hit it with the heat gun. Alright, so it's been 2 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and pull the stencil off here. Gently. Looks like we got a good coverage on there. Now if I can just get the eyes off without causing too much disturbance in the gel. Yeah, that took pretty nicely. We'll see how it burns. But I got pretty good coverage on that one. Alright, as you may be able to see, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it's a little uneven. It's not centered, but again, this is just a test piece, so I just slapped it on there best I could real quick. So I'm going to hit it with the heat gun now. And you don't necessarily want maximum heat. You want a good, reasonable temperature. And just kind of, you don't want to stay in one spot for too long. You just kind of want to pass over it. And keep your heat gun moving, because you don't want to scorch it unevenly. It's starting to change color here. Starting to change color nicely. Quite a yellow color we got here. This wood is just basic cheap pine. Little piece that I got from Dollar Tree. And that is really turning out good. I got great coverage on that. Now when I've used stencils in the past without any adhesive, the picture was quite rough. A lot of spots that didn't quite get enough, some spots that got too much, but with this sticky back vinyl paper I really got good solid uniform coverage here. I'll go a little slower. Wow, that looks cool. And I'm gonna stop there because I really like the way that looks. Now I could go darker, but as you can see, that looks really cool. I like how it kind of goes with the grain. The grain in spots gets darker, and I really like that effect there. That's really cool. Again, I got a real clean edges there by using the sticky back vinyl paper. And yeah, finally, because every single time I've tried to use this stuff, I've had it for a while now, and after a few tries, I kind of just put it on the shelf like, this sucks. But I'm glad I gave it another try, because using that vinyl paper really did wonders. Now, if you've got a Cricut machine, the sky is the limit. But if you're like me and you don't have a Cricut, you kind of just gotta bust out the cutting mat and the X-Acto knife and just make your own stencil. But it's worth it. I like it. Again, I could have held the heat on there longer, and I can go back and make it darker. But I really like that effect, that kind of orangey effect there. That's really cool. Yeah. So again, I recommend giving this stuff a try, especially for more intricate wood burning things. With lettering, you may just want to go ahead and just use a regular wood burner. But with something, if you've got a stencil that you want to burn onto wood, again, this stuff is pretty cool. They make little pens too, wood burning pens. Haven't tried those yet. I've seen some mixed reviews on those. I will say, if you're going to get this stuff, and if you're working with a light colored wood like pine, like this, I wouldn't go for this yellow kind. They make a more orangey kind that I've seen on Amazon. And looking at some of the videos I've seen, that stuff tends to show up a lot better on the pine, because this comes out kind of yellowy, and the color kind of blends in with the pine, and you really got to look for that the shininess to make sure that you've got good uniform coverage. So you got to kind of pick it up and tilt it and look around at the shine it has to it in order to see you got good coverage. But all in all, I do believe I'm going to be using this stuff a lot more if and when I feel inclined to cut patterns out on the vinyl paper. And the vinyl paper actually that I have is just at Dollar Tree. Now, if you don't live in the US, I don't think they have Dollar Tree in most places. I think Canada probably has Dollar Tree. But for those of you that don't live in the US, Dollar Tree is a dollar store where most everything's $1.25. They have other stuff for like $3 and $5 too, but most of it's $1.25. You can get a roll of this stuff for $1.25, and it's got quite a bit. Again, I wouldn't know if it's really Cricut compatible. I'm sure it is. Again, I don't have a Cricut, can't afford it. They're several $100s. I'd love to have one, but it's just not in my budget right now. Yeah, so all I did was I traced the pattern out on the back, cut it out with the X-Acto knife, and then taped it on here, or rather stuck it on there, because it's got just pulled the paper off and it's got an adhesive backing. Works really well. And yeah, that looks really cool. I may have to make a bunch of these. I really like that color. Again, I could have went darker, could have went full black with the whole thing, but I stopped there because that's a really cool pattern there. I like that. Anyway, with all that said, hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time.